What am I going to do? Am I going to settle for this thing I can no longer tolerate and just lower my standard of living just a little bit more? Or am I going to get real about changing my life? You can absolutely change your life in 90 days. So many people are doing it right now, and you can do it too. This video is going to show you exactly how. Plus, I made this free playbook for you of 5 simple steps that will break all of this down and make it super simple and clear. Let's dive in. So many people want to change their life, and there is a secret. If you only take one thing from this video, I want you to write this down. I call it the Future Self Rescue Mission. Here's what I mean. Most people unconsciously assume that some version of their future self is going to rescue them from their current circumstances. That one day you'll wake up and you'll have the body, the relationship, the mindset, the self-love that will enable you to be, do, and have all the things that you desire. The problem is your future self actually needs you, present tense you, to save her. Maybe you can relate to this. Remember when you were in high school and you thought that your life would just begin when you got to college? And then you were in college and you thought one day when you had the job or the house or the relationship, then your life would really begin. It's always deferring responsibility and your power to some future version of yourself. In my 20s and 30s, I was so guilty of this. And then as I neared my 40s, I began to realize my future self wasn't coming to get me. No one was coming to rescue me. It was actually my responsibility here and now, as the version of myself that I am, to save my future self from my past. Yep, because right now, your future self is being held hostage by your past experiences, your past conditioning, your past everything. And most people live their life based on the past. But how you really change your life is to begin to live from the future. Live from the woman you wish to be. If you take nothing else from this video, it's this. Adopt the mindset of the future self rescue mission. You are no longer waiting to be perfect, to have things figured out, to lose the weight, to have the guy, to have the money, whatever it is. You are no longer waiting for some better, stronger, smarter, more beautiful, more attractive, ... you fill in the blank version of yourself to save you from your current circumstances. No, it is your current self right here, right now, that has all the tools, all the power, and yes, all the responsibility to save your future self from being held hostage by all these old past ideas. What all successful people know is that it's their present self, her responsibility, her power to save your future self from your past self. You got that? That's why I call it the Future Self Rescue Mission. I love this principle because it reminds us that every single moment we have this opportunity to begin again. One of my life mottos is that life can always begin again. Trust me, I have started over from scratch so many times in my life. This is one of the gifts of being alive and having a brain that can grow and learn new things. When you adopt the Future Self Rescue Mission mentality, you're essentially saying, I am the hero of my story, this version of myself that I am right now, and the time to act is now. This current version of yourself, she is enough, she is more than enough, and she has all the power, and yes, all the responsibility. So now let's talk about why 90 days. There is magic to this. When I was taking my Kundalini teacher training, we learned about the power of certain time frames to break old habits and to create new ones. The idea is simple. Deciding to practice something for these extended periods of time rewires your neural pathways and subconscious patterns. By committing to a practice for 40, 90, or 1,000 days, you can break old habits and establish new positive ones that serve your highest goal. So 40 days is what it takes to break negative habits. You can start establishing new habits at 40 days too, but 90 days is really what it takes to establish a new habit more deeply in your conscious and your subconscious mind. In only 90 days, you can experience a profound change in your life. And then the 1,000 days, 1,000 days in Kundalini yoga tradition is what it takes to really master a new habit. You've been consistent enough over a long enough period of time to really make this a part of the very fabric of who you are. So 40 days, 90 days, or 1,000 days. We're choosing 90 days because it's more than enough time to not only break old habits, but also begin to integrate new ones. Once you make these new habits a part of your daily routine, you can decide to make this a lifestyle and make that 1,000 days your next goal. What I love about giving yourself a 90-day time frame, for me, it's the length of time my mind can get around without feeling overwhelmed by the commitment commitment. It also matches really well with the seasons. Generally, a season lasts about 3 to 4 months, so you can choose any season of the year and make it your time for personal transformation. And when the new season comes, a new version of yourself will be emerging too. My guess is if you're serious about changing your life in 90 days, this isn't the first video on YouTube you've watched. So most people recommend doing a life audit or the wheel of life exercise to get clear on what it is you want to change. Those are great exercises, but I want to simple it down even more. Here's what works for me. I ask myself this one simple question. Are you ready for it? Write it down. What in my life am I no longer willing to tolerate? That's it. What in your life are you no longer willing to tolerate? This cuts to the chase. This makes it all very simple. Awesome if you want to take the time to do a full life audit using the wheel of life or something similar. But when it comes down to it, the crux of the matter is this. What are you no longer willing to tolerate? The truth is, most people don't change until they experience a significant amount of suffering or pain. But you don't have to do that. You can decide that whatever you're willing to not tolerate anymore, that is your rock bottom. It's not going to get any worse than it is right now because you're going to focus the entirety of your efforts on changing that one thing. Here's some examples from my own life. When I was no longer willing to tolerate feeling tired and frumpy and hating the way I felt in my body, I went on a fitness and health journey. When I was a young single mom and no longer willing to tolerate that feeling of never being chosen, or not feeling worthy of a relationship or someone that loves me, I went on a self-love journey. And when I was no longer willing to tolerate being broke and being in credit card debt, I went on a money-making and money mindset journey. Whatever it is that you are no longer willing to tolerate, that is going to point you in the direction of the journey you're about to go on. You don't have to change everything in your life all at once. The magic is picking that one thing, that one area of your life that's going to have the biggest bang for your buck. If you get this right, everything else is going to change and fall into place. So that was a life audit made simple. Just simply asking yourself, what in my life am I no longer willing to tolerate? And get really real. Download this free playbook for the prompts and the guidance that will help you. Now for your dream life. It's simple. What do you want to experience instead? For me, when I identified I was no longer willing to tolerate feeling tired and frumpy and uncomfortable in my body, I imagined a whole new version of myself where I woke up feeling vibrant and alive, when I was no longer willing to continue feeling overlooked and unwanted and rejected. I went on that self-love journey and I imagined a version of myself that was completely in love with my life, doing things every single week that lit up my own soul, and meeting the coolest people I felt that got me, people that felt like kindreds. I imagined laughing with these people, feeling so appreciated and seen. And when I was no longer willing to tolerate the cycle of credit card debt and stress over money, I imagined a whole new version of myself where I was going on my bucket list vacations and eating out at all the restaurants I wanted without even worrying about the bill. So here's the secret. You've identified what in your life you're no longer willing to tolerate, and you've identified what you want to experience instead. You've written it down in the present tense, not one day out there, because remember, it's not your future self that's going to save you. You're on a future self rescue mission now. Everything that you want in your future, you're going to start affirming in the present tense as if you have it now. The next step is to get focused, to prioritize, and to make yourself a plan. You don't need to overcomplicate it. You don't need to change 10,000 things in your life. Remember, we're focusing on this one specific area, whether it's a health and fitness journey you're about to set on, a self-love journey, or a new relationship with money and abundance. You can go to ChatGPT and use AI to help you create your 90-day plan. Inside this playbook, there's the exact prompt I use to help me create my new 90-day plan. After you have your plan, get in the habit of asking yourself, what is one thing I can do today that my future self will adore me for? What is one thing I can do today that will set myself up for success tomorrow? My younger sister Hope taught me this idea, and it really saved me from so much procrastination. She told me a story about how one of our boys spilled something in the fridge and it was a disaster. And she was so tired and it was at the end of the day and she really didn't want to clean it. She thought, I'll just wait till tomorrow. Then she decided, you know what? I'm going to give my future self a gift and I'm going to clean this fridge tonight. It was such a tangible act of self-love and self self-care because you know the next day came around and her then current self was so grateful to her past self for that gift. So get in the habit of asking yourself every single day as you implement your plan, what is one thing I can do today to make life a little easier or more pleasurable for my future self? This is really so profound. Your life is going to change in 90 days and it's going to feel so sweet. Imagine that along the way of these 90 days, not only are you transforming that area of your life that you could no longer tolerate into something that looks like a dream, but you're growing in depth and intimacy and connection with yourself. And this is the gift of the 90-day commitment, the new relationship that you are establishing with yourself. By committing to your 90-day transformation and using the steps I provide in the guide, you're regaining trust in yourself. And this is so important for change, no matter what kind of change you want to create in your life. And life is all about change. So once you learn these steps, you can use it time and time again. I've changed my life in so many ways and will continue to do so. And I will use these steps again and again because voila, it just works. We all know that lasting change requires commitment and consistency. Consistency is so much more powerful than motivation. Motivation is kind of cheap. Motivation is that buzz you get from a cup of coffee, but consistency, that is devotion. Motivation is feeling inspired. Consistency is sticking to a plan no matter how you feel. Of course, you want to feel more inspired in our life, but we can't rely on that in order to change our life. The thing is, this current version of yourself is addicted to certain emotional states. And the thing is about these emotional states is that they tend to be self-perpetuating. Motivation may not even feel like a natural emotion for you, or when it does come, it may not last very long. But consistency, this is commitment to an action plan, no matter what. One of my life principles is come what may, love more, not less. And this points to the principle of consistency. Come what may, you are going to be consistent with the plan that you have set in place because you know it's going to carry you closer to the goals, the life you really desire. You're not going to depend on feeling good or feeling inspired or feeling motivated. Come what may, you're going to follow the plan. It's really simple. This level of commitment is such a gift because it takes the overthinking out of it. So often we end up in these loops where we don't feel motivated, we don't feel good. And so we start overthinking it. Do I really want this thing? Am I really good enough? Can I even have this thing? Is this a pipe dream? And we end up talking ourselves out of it. Have you been there? I definitely have. I've learned that lack of motivation often leads to overthinking and self-doubt, which often leads to giving up, which means I'm right back where I started and I have to decide, what am I going to do? Am I going to settle for this thing I can no longer tolerate and just lower my standard of living just a little bit more? Or am I going to get real about changing my life? Am I going to learn what it takes to be consistent no matter what? And am I going to give myself this gift of real self-love and self-care to choose consistency over motivation? The most important part of your 90-day transformation is to know that real, lasting, sustainable change is always related to your identity. I love what it says in the Bible about becoming new creations. We're simply told to let go of the old self. Those behaviors, those thoughts, those beliefs no longer apply. We're now in a completely new life, a new reality, a new world. The woman that you're becoming, the woman that you desire to be. Everything we do is in service to her, and it can be as simple as that. Just simply decide to drop the old thoughts, the old beliefs, the old habits. Something I love to remind myself is I may not be able to control my first thought, but I absolutely can control my second thought. And that's where the power is. When you begin to have the self-awareness of when you are acting from, thinking from, believing from your old self, then you can start to interject with, okay, my old self may have believed that about who I am and about what's possible. My old self may have gone to that for comfort. Maybe that was her habit. But my new self, we're going to adopt these new beliefs. We're going to think new thoughts. And we're going to develop new habits. And this doesn't have to happen overnight, but this is the journey. I can tell you it is so possible to completely change your life using these tips. I used to spew the ugliest self-talk whenever I looked in the mirror, and now I see myself with softer eyes. I used to smoke and really look forward to that buzz that a cigarette would give me. And now I really look forward to running on the trails near the ocean and smelling that ocean breeze. I used to nitpick my husband, and now I stare at him from across the gym and think, dang, wow, how handsome is he? The point is, you can drop the things that no longer serve you. Drop the thoughts, the beliefs, the habits that belong to your old self, and just start implementing the new thoughts, the new actions, the new beliefs that belong to the woman you really desire to be. I have some prompts that will help you in this playbook. So the question is, what are you going to practice every single day that will enable you to reach your goal? Remember, what you practice, you get good at. For me, it helps to think of my plans as a practice. This isn't just something I'm looking to check off the to-do list, even though that feels really good. This is something I'm looking to incorporate into my life to make it a lifestyle. And with the practice, you don't have to be perfect at it. Make your plan a practice and be consistent with it. This is a time for you to develop really meaningful skills. Skills like self-love and discipline and focus and accountability. If you made it this far in the video, then congratulations, you're one of the few who's really ready to stick to it. And I'm going to tell you exactly what to do next to make this magic and possibility you're feeling inside real. Normally I would queue up a video that I think you would enjoy next, but what I know would serve you more than that, way more than that, isn't to watch any more YouTube videos right now, but it's to download this playbook and to get to work. So I'll leave the link in the description box below, and let me know in the comments below if you're in. Thank you so much for being here with me. I'm Morgan Day Cecil, your feminine embodiment coach and a new kind of manifestation guide. Remember, you can trust what lights you up. I gave you the outline. I'm giving you the playbook. Now it's your turn. Just decide. This is your day one of your 90-day transformation.